Emma James of Media Watch, ready to go. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Now, Nicolas Sarkozy, in legal hot water. You have the latest developments.
Yes, absolutely. He has, of course, been charged now, and it's all in relation to his successful bid for the 2007 presidential campaign back, so 11 years ago we're talking about now. He's been charged with corruption and illegally financing that. Supposedly, the allegations are that he was given 50 million euros by the then Libyan government. Of course, at the head of that was Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Peter Allen, a journalist in Paris, says that do not mistake this indictment as just another French party financing scandal. According to him, this is far more serious, and certainly when you look at this, the implications, it's very true. They are far more wider reaching than we have seen with other financial scandals. He says this is about alleged gangster corruption that saw Libya being used as a cash machine before it was bombed to pieces and then opened up to terrorist groups and people smugglers. Now, one article that's particularly interesting right now is the fact that Middle East Monitor, saying that Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, the son of the deposed Libyan leader, now late Libyan leader, of course, has repeated his pledge that he will testify against Nicolas Sarkozy. He's given a number of interviews. The details of which have been rounded up really in this article. He talks about there being a number of other witnesses who can come forward and give evidence. And he talks about a recording of the first time that Gaddafi actually met with Nicolas Sarkozy. Now, Saif al-Islam has presidential ambitions himself in Libya, so this could all very much play into his hands politically for him in Libya. And Nicolas Sarkozy, for his part, has said that there is a lack of credible evidence. He, of course, denies all these charges against him. And he alleges the Libyans who are now denouncing him are those who are motivated by revenge. And, of course, Saif al-Islam would certainly fall into that category, having lost his father and been jailed for many years himself. Now, Time magazine has dug up an old interview from 2011 that they did with Saif al-Islam. And this is a really, really interesting one, well worth looking at again, because they've written a new article about it today. And they say that in this interview, he says he plays talking about Nicolas Sarkozy, he plays a very dirty game, and we can do the same thing with him. He should be very careful. That was back in 2011. Of course, Saif al-Islam himself is convicted of war crimes. He was once sentenced to death, but was finally released from prison last June. As for other reactions to the charging of Nicolas Sarkozy, some of them a little more pleasant than others, I think it's fair to say. This from the cartoonist Cambon simply says nightmare, and you can see Nicolas Sarkozy sweating in his sleep as a ghostly figure with a certain look of Colonel Gaddafi and cases full of cash comes through the door. Less charitable is this tweet, which did make me chuckle, I have to say. It is clearly Nicolas Sarkozy when he was visiting a jail at some point, and it says, "I came, I saw, I lost." Now, of course, there is a long way to go on this one, and Nicolas Sarkozy does deny all the allegations against him.
OK, he denies all the allegations, but he's now under formal investigation, i.e. he's been charged with the allegations that you outlined. You've also been looking, Emma, at reactions and the growing anger from, millions of people over the harvesting of their personal data from Facebook.
Yes, and there are people asking questions about, could this be the thing that brings down a social media giant? Perhaps that's a little bit of an exaggeration. We've got a long way to go, but there is certainly a sizable backlash. This is the cover of the forthcoming Bloomberg Business Week. You've got all the little fingers from your mouse cursor there pointing towards delete my account. And that hashtag, delete Facebook, has been trending for the last couple of days in the wake of these revelations, 50 million users having their details harvested. Now, this gentleman has joined the movement. It is time, he says. He's Brian Acton. If you haven't heard of him, his opinion matters because he was one of the co-founders of WhatsApp. Now, Facebook actually made him very rich. You could say it's a bit uncharitable of him to do this. He and his other co-founder were paid $16 billion by Facebook. However, it should be pointed out that perhaps he has a vested interest in denouncing Facebook now, because because he's just invested 50 million into a WhatsApp alternative called Signal. So some people are a little bit sceptical about that, but lots of Twitter users poking a bit of fun, really, at the idea of deleting Facebook. I'd love to, but how will I find out if it's snowing? This one from a comedian as well. I don't know if I can delete Facebook. How else am I going to watch the kids of people I barely know grow up? And this one, I think, is my favourite. I've decided to go door to door showing people photos of my cats instead, because, of course, many of us do use social media to share cutesy pictures of animals. The same theme, really, as well, from Martin Shovel, the cartoonist who has done his life after Facebook, where he's holding up the picture of the cat, and you get presumably his next door neighbour or mother or friend holding up a sign with a thumbs aloft. And it really does show just how bizarre our interactions have become, courtesy of social media.
Indeed, your entire photograph catalogue is now probably stocked on
Absolutely,
Facebook.
Which is why a lot of people don't want to delete it, because in this digital age, it's kind of, it is our
photo. How'd you get them back? Emma, thank you very much indeed. Emma James with Media Watch. Brian with the business, thank you so very much indeed. Great to see you. And thanks to you, of course. Without you, it's not worthwhile. Stay with us. More news to come.